Hey, it's Sam, and I'm making this quick video to discuss the Mesha Sankranti, which is happening on April 14th. This is when the sun goes into the sign of Aries, which is called Mesha in the sidereal zodiac, which is the zodiac used in Vedic astrology. So this is considered to be the beginning of the year, like the new year in many parts of India. In fact, in most parts of India, it's celebrated as one form of the new year. It sort of closely parallels a seasonal celebration, which would correlate with the beginning of spring, because that's when the sun goes into Aries using tropical zodiac. But in much of India, they use, in fact in all of India for their calendars, they use a sidereal zodiac, and this is the beginning of the solar year. So it's a great time for new beginnings, and one of the biggest features of having the sun in Aries, besides the fact that it's a celebration, is the fact that the sun is exalted there. And the sun is the light within us that we want to project outward into existence to create the power that we see inside and bring it outside. So that inextinguishable light of truth that shines within you comes from the sun. Literally, the sun is what created that. It's what creates that in everything and in all of existence, including you. So that inextinguishable light within you was created by the sun, and your capacity and desire to want to bring that out into life so that all can benefit from its warmth and vision is shown by the sun, as you express it. So it's not just a universal force, it's also an internal force that you reckon with. One of the most important things about this energy, though, is instead of experiencing it in that sort of consistent way, which is what the sun is, it's the consistent vision within us, we tend to experience the sun through this kind of wavering confidence. So you want to think about this. When we're functioning from that place of wavering confidence, like sometimes we do the right thing, other times we don't, then the sun is being filtered through our ego. And it's what shows the confidence to do some things, which are the things that we've already done, but not the confidence to push through places that are outside of our comfort zone. So you've probably heard the statement, all of your important growth happens outside your comfort zone. This has a lot to do with the highest power of the sun within. And again, the sun filtered through our ego produces this wavering confidence, because the ego has light and shadow, good and bad, duality. And in fact, these qualities of the ego and this quality of duality comes from the interplay between the sun and the moon. Once we incarnate on this earth, it's because of the sun and the moon. The sun and the moon are what have created life on earth, and they've created that in our mind as well. So the moon is what's waxing and waning, and it's the moon that gives that ego its sort of tethers the ego to this existence through what's called the jiva, or the individual soul, which goes from lifetime to lifetime, comes from the moon. And so that experience and that feeling of your power is what comes from the moon. And this is why, when we're filtering that sense of power through the ego, it's really based a lot on the past. What we've done before, we have the confidence to do again. Because the moon and the mind and the karmas and the jiva is really of the past. That's what it is. And moving into the future. So the way to really handle this and to evolve your relationship with the sun is to be dedicated to something bigger than your comfort zone. So that the power of the sun is not just some force that allows you to get something in the world, or to have power over others, or to have power over a limited kingdom in the world, but it's to actually take you to the highest, beyond. And how that works in your life is to be dedicated to something that's higher, than just your comfort zone. To be dedicated to something that's higher and a kingdom that is more eternal. Not a kingdom of this earth, but a kingdom of the Spirit, the universal kingdom. The universe within you, that universal truth that abides within you, that is bigger than any kingdom of this earth. Even the great Emperor Alexander realized at the end of life, it said that he was asked to be buried with the coffin open and his hands sticking outside of the coffin, and his hands sticking out so that people could say even the great Alexander took nothing with him. So we can conquer the whole world and death is going to snatch it all away. So we need to be dedicated to that inextinguishable light that's bigger than just the gains and victories of this world. And when we do that, then the light of the sun is not just another kind of shadow game that we're playing, where we use our power to get something that we want, and we use our power to like dominate those people to get what we want, or we use our power as some kind of personal principle of separateness. Instead, that power becomes just like the sun, where we just give it with no expectation of reward. So when you're dedicated to a higher purpose, like with me in astrology or whatever, there's many things that I do that I don't really, it's not that I don't feel like doing them, but maybe at times I didn't have the confidence to do them, like making videos and stuff even. There was a time when I hadn't done that before. I was kind of, it was outside my comfort zone. Turn on my camera and start talking, even though, my hair is messed up or whatever it would be. I have the same, well, I don't want to say the same vanity, but I have vanity like everybody else, but I don't really pay attention to it. But other things that are outside my comfort zone, that's not the reason I do it. I don't do it so that I, maybe look good or that I'm confident enough to do it. If it's something that's going to serve the higher purpose, I do it. So it's just like, like a father serves his family. He'll go to work and sacrifice maybe what he wants to do because he needs to provide for his family in a worldly sense. And a good king sacrifices for the good of the kingdom, not for his own pleasure. Once the king starts to take the wealth of the kingdom for his own pleasure, he becomes a dictator and starts to rob the kingdom. So the same thing is true for you. When you dedicate yourself to something higher than just your own pleasure or happiness or kingdom, that's the way to evolve the sun in you. And for the next 30 days, with the sun going through Aries, it's a great time to really get clear about what's motivating you internally. Get clear about your vision and where you're going, where you want to go. Get clear about how much you're willing to sacrifice for that, how much you might be stuck in your ego. It doesn't have to be about career things. It can be about all kinds of things. Life-changing things. It could be about even relationships or other things where maybe your ego has gotten in the way. The courage and the illumination to see through it. Particularly if the sun rules things related to relationships or whatever it is. Or if the sun rules your 5th house, it might have to do with children or creativity. If it rules your 1st house, it's obviously you. If it rules your 4th house, it's maybe about your home or your heart. So wherever the sun of Leo falls, you can see some great illumination and courage in that area of life and really have the courage to look at that thing with more, clarity and with less personal will. So try to evolve that the next 30 days. Because when the sun is in Aries, we act on that, we instinctively act on that light within us. That's why the sun is exalted in Aries. Aries is the sign of instinctive action. The sun is Saturn is debilitated in Aries because Saturn in areas of life, which has to do with structure, stability, being careful, becomes destroyed by instinctive action and impulsive action in the moment, and hairline decisions and snap decisions that we act upon. That's bad because those things can destroy our long-term plans when they're motivated by fear, and Saturn is the planet of fear. But when we act instinctively on that light within us, that highest good that we have, and we act upon that, great things happen. We're supposed to just trust that light within you and act on it without questioning. And that will help you move through all things in your life. So again, when you're aligned with a higher purpose, then you trust that higher vision. You trust that higher purpose. The father trusts his need to provide for his family. He doesn't question it. That's why he just instinctively does what's best for the family in the good sense. The good king instinctively trusts what's good for the kingdom and just acts on it. So ponder those things, and may the next 30 days with the sun in Aries be beneficial for you, and especially look at whatever areas of life the sun rules. Wherever Leo is in your natal chart, you can see some real illumination and personal growth for the next 30 days around that area of life.